Hey kids, welcome back to Smith Motorworks. As expected, we're out here doing something cool again. I have been watching your likes, comments, and it seems like you guys like this old tow motor that I'm working on. I like it too. So we're gonna do a little bit more work on it and find out how we get it a little bit closer to being something that you'd want to present to your neighbors in a residential neighborhood. Wouldn't expect that you would have a forklift in your garage, but it has worked out because I use this old gal to put my milling machine in place. Hey, how about that mess? We got her almost in place and we'll get her hooked up soon. That might be a video. Let me know if you're interested and we'll do it. Came in pretty handy. Not too many other ways to do that. If you haven't checked out the channel, we got cars, bikes, trucks, you name it. You're gonna find something you like. There's a whole series on this fork truck. There's a bunch of other unique cars and vehicles that you'll definitely want to check out, but you always got homework. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all those things. Do it, because I don't know what you like unless you tell me. I like making this stuff, and I'm gonna work on it regardless. And if I'm gonna share it with you, I wanna know what you wanna see. So, let's get her done. Dare to be different. Well, here's kind of our starting point. You can see Towmotor barely stamped into that. Well, it's not barely stamped, but you can barely see it. If you notice, if you look close, see that darker color in there? That's there's red. So from the factory, the forklift was all yellow, similar to what we did up here on the side panel, and the wheels were red. And I made the call that, while that may be super cool for Ronald McDonald, I think it looks pretty silly. We can go over to the other side here, and you can see where I got the one we're working on pulled off, and that was the red too. So yeah, ketchup and mustard, not a good look. So we're going all yellow, and we're going to paint the letters. All right, our project is to take this cap here, which is really a hubcap, kind of like an old car, covers up the spindle nut or steering knuckle nut, and has the Towmotor logo, which it is impossible to see in this picture because it's so dirty and it's been painted about 1,000 times, as the rest of the truck has. And get it to look like this. So it's a little bit of a custom touch here because these were actually red, and the tow motor that's stamped into this piece would have been the same color. So I've seen people paint them all yellow, but I wanted it to stand out a little bit. I mean, it's kind of a cool logo. Towmotor, their branding, to use a modern term, was all over the place. I mean, if you look at some of the earlier episodes where we made these badges on the side here, I mean, that's one logo. There's some logos on the cow that has a different style. This style, I've seen it in print as well as the other one, but they're kind of all over the place. But I kind of like it. It sort of reminds me of I think Everlast, maybe, the sporting goods, I think that's boxing, right? But I mean, it just kind of has some power to it. And I wanted to make it stand out. So, hey, I made it black. We got black and yellow on here. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And what we're doing here could apply to anything. It doesn't matter what the heck you got. If you're restoring old lawnmowers or farm tractors or sewing machines, it don't matter. I mean, it's the same kind of thing. You know, this stuff, you're not going to be able to buy this, but with the tools we got today, you can duplicate it and make something cool. All right, well, here's how you get started. I know this doesn't look like much, but this is actually a tracing or a rubbing. Put this the best I could to conform to the shape of that hubcap, and then took I don't remember. I think I may have took a crayon or something on this, but it might have been a side of a pencil. But whatever, you know, basically kind of just marking the high spots, trying to get that to come through on the paper, and it's hard to see and it's really wobbly, but we're gonna fix it with some computer tools. What you basically want to do is just kind of get the overall size in the position, because that stamping was really rough, inaccurate. I mean, it's just kind of a mark on there. I mean, they knew it wasn't going to be something you're going to view up close, so it isn't, the detail isn't really sharp, but that's what we wanted to do. You saw the finished product. We wanted to make it sharp. That's what I wanted to do. So a couple things here. You know, I knew that this arc across the top and across the bottom, they're going to be the same, and it's centered, you know, to where if you drew like a football shape across here, you know, that point here where there's not really anything there, but then that point where these two arcs kind of intersect off here and then off this T and off this R, they're going to be equidistant from the middle of the hubcap itself. So that kind of helped me position the decal that we ended up making. The other thing is, if you look at type and you study that, you know that the stroke, and that's kind of like the width of the letter, that's usually consistent unless you get into some kind of like calligraphy or some fancy letter. It's usually like let's think about this, like the width of the T right here, the vertical part of the T, that's going to be the same width as the vertical part of the O or the M or whatever, and the, you know, the O's are going to be basically the same, just the height's going to be different. The same thing with the left to right stroke. They're going to be the same consistency. So basically kind of what I did was I built like a frame when I drew this. I laid it out and I kind of drew that football shape across here, and then I did a line inside of that, so you got like a little like pinstripe of the football. And I knew that, you know, all the top of the T, the top of the R, the top of the O, the bottoms of the O, they're all going to fall within that outline. And then I started making whatever that width was, I started chopping it off in segments across here, width across there. And, you know, you kind of build it by subtraction, and you get that actual logo. Now, I took a little bit of artistic license and kind of smoothed some stuff out that was sort of rough from the stamping, because I knew that was the intent. You know, they wanted it to be regular and even, but it just didn't come out that way in the tooling. You can see right here, look at the top of this W. This is the W in toe. I mean, this one didn't really hit as hard, so it's not up to the top of the M, but it's higher on the outside here. And this was bent and all distorted too, so we straightened all that out. I had to pound on it with a cold chisel to get it flat, but we got the metal sharp enough to where we could make the actual CAD drawing to put it into our vinyl cutter and cut. What I wanted to do was make a paint mask. I wanted to do all this with paint, but we ended up doing something a little different that still looked pretty good. Okay, I wanted to show you what we just made with the vinyl plotter. It's a duplicate of the same artwork. The left and right are exactly the same. The difference is what I took away here. The black part on the right here is what I took away from this panel on the left. So if you think about it, these letters that are left on this side, that's what I took out of this side on the right. So exact same pattern, rectangle frame, Towmotor logo. It's just which one you take out to get the results you want. Now, why would you do that? Well, what I wanted to do originally was what we have on the right here. I wanted to make what they call a paint mask or a spray mask. Now, they make specific material to cut to make a spray mask, and it's worth it for sure. But if you don't have it, or you're willing to kind of work a little harder, you can just do regular vinyl. The difference is the spray mask is kind of like masking tape. It's not meant to be permanent, and you can pull it off pretty easy. And this stuff is meant to be permanent. This material, this vinyl is pretty grippy, and it's very durable. I mean, 5 to 7 years or something out in the weather. But if you put it on, burnish it down, it's super thin, and you can get a pretty good edge. But it's harder to take it back off. And if your paint underneath isn't really adhered very well, you might damage it and pull off of there. But I knew what I was doing was going to work. The problem that I had is when I talked about that stamping, that Towmotor stamping on there, it really wasn't very defined, and I made it really sharp, as you can see. And this was all, kind of got a little bit of a big heavy radius on it. And I thought, well, it doesn't matter, I'm going to burnish it down, I'm going to push it down real good, and I'll paint it. And I tried it, and it was just too many leaks. What I mean is, the paint was bleeding past it. And it's like, you can touch it up. And, I was trying to kind of tape off some stuff and protect it. It just got to be to where I could have hand painted it faster than using this mask. So I decided to do what pretty much every race car helmet is doing right now. There's a lot of that stuff that's, hand painted and airbrushed. Race car helmets are really, really cool, because it's totally mixed media. I mean, they're doing spray paint, they're doing, airbrush, they're doing, fine brush pinstripes detail, and they're doing vinyl graphics too. Well, they do all that stuff and get the artwork set up, and they do some crazy stuff. If you look at some of this stuff on like Indy car guys' helmets and stuff, I mean, it is far out. When they get it all done, they will clear over top of it all to protect it. Okay, so why would they clear over it to protect it? Well, obviously, some of the paints require a clear, but they're basically kind of coating that edge. They're trying to, if you imagine, you got the level of paint here, and then you got maybe a thicker level of paint, maybe a decal, and they're all over the place. Well, you run your hands across it, and those guys are, they're taking their helmets on and off, and they're getting banged around. And, they're going to scratch stuff. And then definitely if you get a decal, you got an edge here that you might pick up. I mean, even paint has an edge. I mean, this stuff is thin. I mean, it's like 1.5 mil or something like that. I mean, it's equivalent to paint, really. But when you got a hard edge like that, you're going to kind of scrub it up or off or something. So that clear kind of lays over it like a blanket and sort of makes that radius. If you can imagine that, it's kind of like blends it out to where the clear's on top of this and it's on top of that. Well, it just kind of makes like a waterfall and blends in one to the other. Smooths it out really nice. I mean, they put enough clear on it, on anything, and then they smooth all that out, and then you can't even find the edge. Now, whether you're doing it to helmets or not is irrelevant. I did not do that to our hubcap here. All I wanted to do was protect the edge to where I knew if I just put a decal on here, eventually, even though this is high performance vinyl and it sticks down, it lays down really, really nice, eventually it would get scrubbed off. So I wanted to kind of protect that edge. So I basically painted it the same safety yellow that we're using on everything else, and I just buried it in clear. I mean, it's got, I don't know, I lost count, 5 layers of clear or something like that. But and the reason being was I kept painting it till I could not feel the edge of this decal, and that's where we're at right now. So 2 things. One is, there's plenty of painting videos out there. Lots of guys better than me. I get the job done, do it to it. But I'm not going to teach you how to do that because I'm not qualified to do that. I do know this stuff very, very well, but operating those machines and what to do, if you want to get one, there's the machine I got is a Silhouette. The competitor to that, I think maybe the originator, is called a Cricut. I mean, you can get them at, Michael's or Hobby Lobby or whatever your hobby craft store is. They're not a whole lot of money. Pretty cool. You can do a lot of stuff, and they got a massive support system to teach you how to run this stuff. So I'm not going to teach you how to do that stuff, obviously. It's just a waste of time because they're better at it. So if you're interested in doing it, and I encourage you to do it because you can make a lot of cool stuff. I mean, it isn't about making, artsy craftsy stuff that you can put on Pinterest or something. I mean, this is car, bike, tractor, motor, whatever, that kind of thing, to where, I want to make a new label for my engine or something that I can't buy anywhere, or I want to customize it to say something different than what it came with from the factory, or like this right here. This is not how it's supposed to look, but it's what I wanted. Got 3 more to do, right? So that's what we got. Came out pretty good, I think. Okay, a cool sidebar is that the Towmotor was built in Cleveland, but there was another company close by that provided fasteners for them. All the original fasteners are from Premier, and their top line product was the Supertanium alloy bolt, which is shown right here. Hard to see, but on the top side it says Supertanium. On the bottom it says alloy. You can kind of see the A-L and the S. And in the middle you got the little crest with kind of like a ray shooting out of there. These are grade 9 bolts. If you're familiar with hardware, you might have heard of grade 8. These are grade 9. So not unheard of, but kind of unusual. But the cool thing about it is these guys were kind of the ARP, if you know about high performance automotive fasteners. They were the ARP of the 1940s and 50s. And a lot of Indy cars had these bolts on them. The company was called Premier, and that shield in the middle is the shape of their logo. What's kind of weird about it is that they're on a fork truck. It was kind of all part of Towmotor, I guess, keeping it local. Here's what the Premier logo looked like, and you can see that was in the center of that bolt. This is actually supposed to be yellow. When I was working on Gasoline Alley and making reproduction decals for race cars in the museum at IMS, we had this artwork. I can't remember if I digitized this or not. I might have, but it's supposed to be yellow on there, which is kind of cool for the Towmotor because it's all yellow. But I think I made an orange one just because, and put it on my toolbox here, and it's been there for, wow, like 20, 25 years. But that is Premier, and they made the Supertanium fasteners that are found on the 1950 Towmotor. What you think about that one? Pretty good, eh? Lots of tools out there. Don't cost a lot of money. You can restore whatever you got or make it custom. It's not hard. I learned it. I'm an old guy. You can too. So use the internet, use your friends, whatever you got. Ask me. I'll help if I can, and we'll get her done. Dare to be different. Later.